in yesterday's class we were discussing about linear block codes, where the block code or the linear block codes are the algorithms which are used in performing the operations like the channel encoding procedure. So this is a algorithm or the method of channel encoding that is used in the digital communication. So what is this channel encoding is used for? It is used to overcome the error that is caused or occurred during the transmission of the bits over the channel. So this helps us in identifying the error and also correcting the error. So linear block code is a type of the channel encoding procedures. So we will first, before we get into the actual linear block code algorithm, first we will just see how these linear block codes are generated. So yesterday we have seen block codes are nothing but we are going to take k information bits. Assume that this is the k bits of information that we have with us. Okay, this will be converted to an n bit code word. So this will be finally the end result would be a n bit code word. So if these are the n bit code words, out of this n bits, the k bits will remain as is, which is the message bits, and the rest n minus k will be the redundant bits, or these are also called as check bits. If you want, you can also call them as check bits. So this is like a strategy which is used to overcome the error while these information bits are carried within the channel. So whenever if there is any error occurring, these check bits or the redundant bits n minus k, which is appended either at the beginning of the message or at the end of the message, either way it will be useful in order to detect and correct the errors. Some of the block codes are also helpful in correcting the errors. Some of them are used for identifying the error. So like that we have the linear block codes. Now we will just see one simple example like how these channel encoding procedures will be useful to overcome the error during the transmission. So I will take a very simple example over here. The most simplest channel encoding procedure is repetition codes. I don't know whether you have heard of this name. Repetition code means, let us assume I have bit 0 and bit 1 with me. I want to send a bit 0 and bit 1 over the channel, which is not an ideal channel, which means the 0 can end up as 1 and 1 can end up as 0 on the receiver side. This is on the receiver side. So, but the receiver would not know, since the bit is actually there is also a valid code word on the input side which is 1, and there is also a valid code word which is 0 on the transmitter section. It will consider, though this is an error bit, the receiver will still consider that as a message, which is actually wrong, right? So what we do, in order to overcome the error that has occurred during the transmission, what we do is, the simplest of the channel encoding procedure is to append one more similar bit to the already existing one. That means I append another 0 to the already existing bit 0. Similarly, I append another 1 to the bit 1 already existing. When we send this, what is going to happen? When we send this, what is going to happen? Let us see. The possibility is one of the bit can go in an error, right? And both the bits can also go in error. In this case also, one of the bit can go in error, okay, and both the bits can go in error. Whenever I have one bit in error, see here, we have the same pattern, but these codes does not exist in the initial form. That means I can say that this whatever that I have received is an error bit. That I can make out. I can say that, I can detect that some error has occurred over here in this case and also in this case. I will get to know some error has occurred during the transmission. That I will get to know. But what if you receive like this, that is 0, 0 is entirely converted into 1, 1 and 1, 1 is directly converted into, entirely getting converted into 0, 0. I will never be able to even detect whether the error has occurred or not. That is because this is a valid code word. This is also a valid code word. Getting my point? Any doubts so far? Please try to understand. It's a very simple concept, because this is what we will be similar analogy we will be using even in the linear block codes while we are doing the decoding process. So please try to understand this. So whenever the error that is occurring during the transmission over a channel, if it is ending up to be a valid code words, then in no way I can recover I can detect or correct the errors, because this entire 00 is getting converted into 11, which is also a valid code word. Again, entire 11 is getting converted to 00, which is a valid code word. In such cases, I will not be able to detect or correct, because when the detection itself is not happening, then the correction, there is no point in correcting, right? So in such cases I will not be able to verify the errors. But here the proper transmission, it doesn't matter. It's a proper transmission, it has no significance, right? No significance by that means we need not have to process anything over here. But when it comes to 1 bit error, I will only get to know, I will be able to decide that it has ended up in an error. But still, you see, I will not be able to say whether this, whatever the 10 I have received, whether it is due to 00 or 11, I will not be able to figure it out. So what we do in the next step, so this 2-bit repetition is not enough, it is not enough. So what I will do, I will add one more 0, I will append one more 1 here. So I am repeating the same bit 3 times. So in such cases what will happen? Just check. The possible errors here are 00, that is proper transmission, 000111, 001, 010, 011, and 100, 101, 110, 111. These are the possibilities. Similar possibilities will also appear in this case. So let us try to understand here. Whenever I transmit 3 continuous zeros, if at all I get only 1 bit is ending up in an error, I can say how many ever maximum bits that are available. That means if the 0 are more in number when compared to the other bits, then I decode this as 0 itself. Okay, so in this case also I am going to decode this as 0. But here when it comes to this case, this is still detected as 1 because 1 is more in number. Here this one is detected as 0, this one would be detected as 1, this one would be detected as 1, and this one will also be detected as 1. But this is the case when you send all zeros and you get all ones. This is the case which we call it as burst error. It is not a bit error, rather it's going to be a burst error. Okay, so where and all you are ending up in an error, you just check. See here, wherever there are multiple ones, when you transmit all zeros and you are getting more number of ones during the transmission, then those are the code words which will make us decode in a wrong manner. In the similar way, if you look at these same combinations for all one transmissions, the maximum zeros will be there, no? So those cases will be the error recognition or error, they will end up in an error. Whereas other combinations will say that the bit 1 was transmitted actually. So this is a very simple code which we can make use of to transmit a simple information. But of course you can see there are many disadvantages in using this repetition code. So in order to overcome these scenarios, we are going to make use of a block of information and we are going to generate these redundant bits from the message bit themselves. So we are going to come up with a logic such that the logic makes use of the k information bits in order to generate these n minus k information bits. Okay, so we will have to understand one thing over here. In order to construct a n-bit code word, we are going to make use of the elements from a space called as Galois field. You just briefly know what does this mean. What is meant by a Galois field First let me explain the definition of field. So what is meant by a field? In a linear algebra or in an algebraic explanation, the field is nothing but it's a space or a set of elements. It's a set of elements like this. It's a set of elements upon which we can have certain operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So we can perform these four operations on the elements which are present within this field such that they are going to satisfy certain criteria, like they are going to satisfy certain conditions, like the elements in the group or elements in the field must satisfy the associative property, commutative property, distributive property, and it should also have a unit element, okay, and then it should also have an inverse element. If these conditions are satisfied for the given operation on a particular set of elements, then we call such a group of elements along with an operator which are satisfying these conditions is called a field. But then we have a specific field called as Galois field. What does that Galois field means? This is a field which means it is going to satisfy associative, commutative, distributive. It will have a unit element, it will have an inverse element. And Galois field is a field with finite elements in it, which means the number of elements in this particular field will be of a limited elements only. That means like one or two, like countable number of elements would be present in the Galois field. So how we define this Galois field is, it is represented as GF of Q, where Q is represented as P raised to power M, where again P will always be a prime number. So this Galois field will consist of the elements which are derived from the set called as Q, where Q is defined as P raised to power M and where P will be a prime number. The minimum prime number this P can take is starting from 2. Okay, 2, 3, 5, 7, so on and so forth. But in most of the cases we will consider this P as equal to 2 in our case. Why? Because we are not interested in ternary code or quaternary code or any other codes. Rather we are only interested in binary because it is easier to deal with ones and zeros with the electronic circuitries that we have already been designing so far for all these years. So construction of a digital circuit will happen only or work only with two stages or two voltage levels, which is 0 and 1. So therefore we are only interested with P value being equal to 2. So let me give you an example over here. GF of 2. So this GF of 2 is a Galois field which consists of, can you take a guess with the elements that are present in this Galois field? No idea? You cannot even guess, sir. When P is equal to 2, this will be a binary field. We call it as a binary field, where this field will consist of only two elements which are 0 and 1. Upon this only we are going to operate all the mathematical operations like plus, minus, multiplication and division. So we are going to do all the binary operations on the same two elements. So let us see what is this GF that is field over 0 and 1 with respect to addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So we all know these arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division will satisfy associative property, commutative property and distributive property. Having said that, we will see that what is meant by Galois field with respect to two, that is 0 and 1 element, with respect to addition operation. So we have 0 and 1, 0 and 1. What is 0 plus 0? 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 0. So this is modulo 2 addition. So you can see whatever the operation that you are doing on the elements which are present in this particular field, the resultant will also be present in the same field. That means an operation called, let us assume A and B are the elements from the field, Galois field. If you are operating, if your operation is addition, the A plus B is equal to C such that C also belong to the same field called as GF of 2. So this is the reason why we call it as a field. The resultant will also be present in the same particular field. So this is with respect to addition. And I also said there should be a unit element. That means, what do you mean by a unit element? When you are going to take an element, assume that I consider the unit element as E. Okay. If I add that element, if I do the same operation on the element, I should end up with the element that I am adding to that. So, in the addition, which is the unit element, can you tell me? So, when I add 0 plus some element E, I should end up in a 0. If I have a 1, if I add that particular unit element, I should end up in a 1. Which is such an element here in this particular field? Look at this and then tell me. When I add 0 with something, I should end up in a 0. If I add 1 with something, I should end up in a 0. I should end up in a 1. Which is that element? Which is this element E?
0.
Yes? No idea. Okay, look at this operation here, this table and tell me.
0, ma'am.
Be louder. I'm not able to hear. Chaitra, you're saying something.
0, ma'am.
0, correct. The element E is 0. So when you add 0 with a 0, you get a 0. When you add 1 with a 0, you're getting a 1. That means 0 is the unit element. That means when you add 0 with any element from the GF2 field, it will remain the same. You will get the same element back. So this is what we call it as a unit element. Then we have the inverse element. What do you mean by inverse element? When I take a element A and add it with the same, inverse of the element, I should end up in a unit element. That means when I add A with its inverse, I should end up in the unit element. The unit element in our case is 0. Let me consider 0. So when I add 0 with its inverse, I should get a 0. Which is that element? Which is the inverse of 0 in this particular group? Inverse of 0 is which one?
One.
Okay, check. 0 plus inverse of 0 should be equal to 0. Which is that? 0 itself. Correct? If I add 0 plus 0 only, then I'll get a 0. If I add 0 and 1, I'll get a 1. As per this. So right. So 0 plus 0, only then I'll get a 0. That means inverse of the element 0 is 0. Now coming to the element called as 1. So 1, if I add it with the inverse of 1, let me write this as inverse of 1, I should end up in a 0. So what is the 1 inverse? Inverse of 1 is what? If I add 1 with inverse of 1, I should get a 0. Which is that element?
Minus.
Check here. The resultant is 0. The one of the operand is 1. I need to find out an inverse element such that I'm going to end up in a unit element, that is 0. So which is nothing but another 1. So inverse of 1 is 1 itself. So you can see even the inverse elements also belong to the same GF2 field. That's the reason why we call it as a field. So we are trying to, though we know it is a field, we are trying to validate these statements. So this is what we call it as Galois field GF2 under addition operation. Similarly, if we look at the multiplication operation, I'll just give you this final example. This is kind of important if you don't know, it is not a big deal, but still I'm just giving you an information here. If I consider multiplication, actually you can skip the 0, 0 because anyway 0 into 0 is 0, 0 into 1 is 1, 1 into 0 is 0, 1 into 1 is equal to 1. Now if I want to, this will satisfy all the associative property, distributive property and also commutative property. If I want to find out the unit element, what do you mean by unit element? I have an element called as A. When I multiply it with unit element E, I should get an A. Okay, so 0 multiplied with E, I should get 0. 1 multiplied with E, I should get a 1. Only thing is, see here, whenever we are taking multiplication, normally we don't consider the 0 operation. That means we do not consider, we exclude the 0th element in that particular field. So in that case, we are only left out with 1. Okay. So for a multiplication operation, the unit element will always be equal to 1. So please remember this. For any modulo 2, modulo 7, modulo prime number operation, under multiplication, the unit element will always be equal to 1 because that particular field will not contain a 0. I mean, though it has a 0, we will not consider that. Okay. So unit element will be a 1. Similarly, if I want to find inverse, 0 multiplied with its inverse should end up in a unit element. So there is no such element. So I will not consider the 0th factor at all. So 1 multiplied with 1 inverse should end up in a 1. That means 1 multiplied by 1 is equal to 1. So the inverse element is also 1, the unit element is also 1. This is under multiplication. So if you know this much, this is enough. Okay. Now we will come to this. Why I introduced to this Galois field is, whenever I am constructing this k bits, whenever I am taking this k bits is also called as k tuple. We call this as a k tuple. Okay, what is this k tuple is? This is the combination of zeros and ones. This is the k number of bits obtained by combinations of zeros and ones which are derived from the Galois field G of 2. Okay, and this k bits are obtained from a field or a vector space. We call them as vectors, k vectors. It is obtained, these k vectors, 2 power k vectors actually you are going to get. This k bit vector is obtained from a field formed by the elements present in GF of 2. That means these k bits are formed by zeros and ones which are derived from this Galois field 2. Similarly, these n bits are also obtained or formed by the elements present in GF of 2. So therefore this code word is called as n tuple or n dimension vector. You can also call it as a n dimension vector. This is a k dimension vector. So what we will do here is, whenever we are generating the code words in the channel, we are going to have, let us assume that we have a message bits here, message bit combinations and code words combination. So there will be, if there are k bits, then the possible number of what we can say, possible number of, if I have k is equal to 2, if the size is equal to 2, then I will have 4 combinations of bits, that is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Similarly, if I have k number of bits, in general, if I have k number of bits, then I will have 2 power k combinations of zeros and ones. Yes or no? Fine? Getting my point here? If there are k bits of information over here, then the possible number of input combinations are 2 power k. So, each one of these 2 power k combination will have the code word defined in n bit tuple or in an n dimensional space. That means this 2k bit combination or k bit combination is getting converted into an n bit combination such that we have a smaller space over here. How many number of combinations are there? Here 2k combinations will be there. Here I have an even bigger space which consists of 2 power n number of combinations. But out of these 2 power n combinations, there could be multiple zeros and ones which can occur. But out of these 2 power n combinations of code words that are possible, I am only picking the 2 power k combinations of messages into consideration. So, from these messages onto this, there will be only one-to-one mapping possible. What do you mean by one-to-one mapping? For every message bit combination, there will be one and only one code word in the n tuple. That means in the 2 power n number of possible code words, there will be only one valid code word for a given message. That means if there are 2k number of messages here, only 2 power k valid code words will be there. Will be present. What will happen to other set of code words? They are invalid, or they are also, you can call them as erroneous code words. That means out of 2 power n, if you remove the 2 power k combination of valid code words, the remaining are invalid code words. Okay, you need to know this. This is very much important. So, whenever we are trying to decode the information on the receiver side, if we are getting any of the code word other than the intended code words out of this valid 2 power k, then I will have to map this invalid code word. That means the received bits are in error. Then in such cases, if I get any other code word other than this 2 power k combination, then I will have to find a decoding strategy such that which is going to point me using this invalid code word, I am going to point to a proper code word which was actually transmitted. So what does this mean? In a linear block code, whenever we are going to construct the n bit code word from the bits, from the k bits, we are going to do the mapping of the code word in such a way that for every combination of the message signal, there is one and only one possible code word on the n bit code word or the n tuple code word or in an n dimensional vector space. I hope you understood this much of the concept. Do you have any doubts so far? If you have any doubt, please make sure that you are clarifying it now itself, because though the concept of linear block codes is much easier, this is very important to know as a basic. Okay, so from an k bit, for every k bit tuple, there will be only one n bit tuple which is corresponding a code word. So you can know none of the message signals will have multiple code words as the information here on this n dimensional vector space. So that is what you are supposed to be doing. Any doubts so far? Can we proceed? Please say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So as I said, whenever we are appending the redundant bits to the information bits, either we can append the redundant bits either at the beginning of the code word or at the end of the code word. That means one of the positions are fixed. If you are using the beginning throughout the message, complete message transmission, you will have the redundant bits being appended at the end or at the beginning, that is totally up to you. So this method of appending the redundant bits either at the beginning or at the end of the code word, we call such a linear block code as systematic block code. Systematic linear block code, that is LBC. In short, we call it as LBC. So either at the beginning or at the end, if we are going to append the redundant bits, then such a block code is called as linear block code. So whenever we are trying to construct the linear block code, we are going to define the input k bits of information and output n bits of information in terms of vectors or in terms of polynomials and vectors. So I'll just give you a simple representation. So we will just look at the representation of the code words over here. So information, the k bits of information, we are going to represent this as, I'm going to represent this as input bit or input stream called as u, or input message vector u is consisting of u0, u1, u2, so on up to u of k minus 1. These are the input bits. The encoder will then map this input vector of k size into n bit code word, where it is getting converted into code word called as v, which consists of v0, v1, v2, so on up to v of n minus 1. These are the what we can say as coefficients of the code word in k bits and in n bits, where v0, v1, v2 on vn are all either zeros or ones. It can take either a 0 or a 1. So encoder for such a block code will always be memoryless, as I said. So it will only depend on the information that is available in that particular block. It will not consider the previously generated information bits. I hope this is clear. Okay. So now we will have to define one more parameter, where whenever we are converting an k bits of information to an n bit of information, we are actually trying to increase the number of bits transmitted per second. Right? If at all, if I had not used any channel encoding procedure, I would just send k bits to the channel. But now I have n bits of information with me. That means I have slightly increased. In order to represent the same set of information, I am using more number of bits in this case. So there is a transformation of the bit rate from RB to RC. Okay, yesterday I had written this in the block diagram, where RC is related to RB as k by n. Right? What is this k by n? We call it as rate efficiency. The ratio k by n, we call it as rate efficiency. What is this rate efficiency? It is going to give us the idea about how much, for how much amount of information, is sent, coded information is sent over the channel. So this gives us the rate efficiency. So this ratio is known as rate efficiency. Okay. So shall we proceed on? Any doubts so far? If you have no doubts, we will move further with the concepts. Okay, so now I will take one example over here. Now I'll just take a simple example. If I use this example and then explain, maybe you will understand the concept. I'll not explain this in a general terms. I'm taking a very particular example of a linear block code and explaining this. Now I'm considering a linear block code. We always address this linear block codes as, observe here, we denote this linear block codes as n comma k linear block codes. We call them as n comma k linear block code. where n is the total number of bits that are coming out of the coder, and k are the number of input bits that are feeding into the coder, the channel encoder. So I am taking a very particular example over here where n is equal to 6 and k is equal to 3. Okay, n is equal to 6 and k is equal to 3. Can anybody tell me the ratio of rate efficiency? Code rate efficiency. You can also call this as code rate efficiency. The ratio is given by k by n. What is the value of this? What is the value of this?
1 by 2.
1 by 2.
1 by 2, ma'am.
1 by 2 is the code rate with which I am generating the code word for this. So, for the k is equal to 3, the possible message input combinations are, I am going to write message on one side, I am going to write code words on the other side. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Let me write it in a different order so that I am not going in a particular order. 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. All possible combinations will come in the message. 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. For this, the code words are 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, again a 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, sorry, 1, 1, 0, yeah, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, then 6th one is 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. Okay, these are the code words. You might be asking, ma'am, how did you write this? Did anybody get the question? How did I write this? Or you just simply are just looking at the video that is coming in your screens? How did I write this? We shall see now. Okay, so if you look at the what we call it as LSB. So this I name it as, let me name this as U0, U1, U2. Okay, here I will name this as V0, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. Okay, let us try to see V5 part. So V5 is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. So V5 is nothing but, you can see even the U2 is also same. V5 is nothing but U2. If you are taking V4, it is 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. Similarly in U1 also it is 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. So V4 is nothing but U1. V3 if you consider, it is alternating zeros and ones, that is 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So it is nothing but U0. V3 is U0. Now, how to write this V2? Consider this V2. Okay. See which combination of this U0, U1 and U2 is going to generate V2. Okay. So let us consider the non-zero combinations here. That is, I am considering this 1. If you see V2 in this second row, I will need U0 definitely, and there will be either U1 or U2 or both possible. Okay, if you come to this, again I have a 1, that means there is a clear combination of U0 and U1. So if you see here 1, 1, so it is ending up in a 0. then it is 0 0, it is ending up in a 0. So it is 1 0 ending up in a 1, 0 1 1 1 1 0. That means V2 is a combination of U0 added with U1. Verify this whether this is correct or not. Similarly, V1, if you consider V1, it will be the combination of same again any of the 3 bits or 2 bits considered together. So let us leave the 0th combination. I will take the second combination which is giving me 1. So see here 0 1 1 and a 0, that is U0 and U2 is giving me 1, 0 and 0. Similarly, U0 and U2 0, U0 and U2 1, U0 and U2 1, U0 and U2 0, U0 and U2 1, U0 and U2 is 0. So it is U0 plus U2 will be the generating equation for the V1, the code word, the part of the code word V1. Similarly, V0 we will see. V0 is, I take a non-zero combination, so it is ending up in a 1. So it is, I think it should be U1 plus U2, and here also U1 plus U2, 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 U1 plus U2. It is U1 plus U2. So like this, we are going to obtain the, so you can see the final part V3, V4, V5, these are nothing but the K bits, the information bit themselves, whereas the initial 3 bits, that is V0, V1, V2 are the redundant bits formed by the combinations of the input bits, that is U0, U1 and U2. So this is how we are going to generate a linear block codes. So now you can see, you were supposed to actually, in this particular total set, the n is equal to 6. So out of 2 power 6 combinations, 2 power 6 means how much? It is 64 bit, 64 combinations we will have. Out of the 64 bits, only 8 code words are valid. So these are the valid code words. And you can see only 1 code word is possible for every message bit combination. So these are the valid code words. Other rest, whatever is left out, 64 minus 8, those combinations of bits are the error code words. That means those are the messages which are ended up, or code words which are ended up in an error during the transmission. So this is a very simple and a particular example that I have picked in order to explain the linear block codes. But this is not how we are going to generate such a block code using in the mathematical terms. We are going to make use of certain generator matrix or generator polynomials in order to construct such code words. So in the next class we will see how to get a generator matrix, and we will have to design what is known as parity matrix. So using the parity bits or the generator matrix, we are going to generate the linear block codes. That we will see it in the next class. Hopefully, I will need one more class. So I will be taking a special class tomorrow. So for us to complete the portions for the lab part, for the Monday lab, I have to begin with this linear block code. So therefore tomorrow we will be having a special class. I'll let you know the timings very soon. Okay. So that is it.